Well, thank you for joining us today for the presentation on the interconnection of guidelines and school career development, building a web resource for the future. I'm Celeste Hall. I'm the former board trustee for NCDA for K-12 school career counselors and specialists.
Hello, everyone. My name is Melanie Reinersman, and I am the NCDA website editor.
And hello, everyone. My name is Carla Cheatham, and I am the current K-12 school career counselors and specialists board of trustees.
So we're going to present to you today some exciting information. We think it's very exciting information about the National Career Development Guidelines redesign. To give you a little bit of background about the National Career Development Guidelines, the guidelines were originally created through the National Occupational Information Coordinating Committee, or NOIC, and they were created in 1989. So the guidelines are a framework of competencies, indicators of mastery, and strategies for implementation of career development standards. And in 1989, the National Career Development Association was chosen as the organization to host the National Career Development Guidelines. So there were some revisions over the years. In 2003, the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Vocational and Adult Education commissioned a revision in order to update and revise the competencies to align with the goals of No Child Left Behind at that time, and to also expand the target audience to include K-12 students, parents, teachers, school counselors, and administrators, as well as post-secondary students and other adults and the business community. So how did this redesign all get started? So at the point when I was the K-12 trustee for the board, through some of our meetings with K-12 constituency members had discussion and talked about and asked for a national framework of career development competencies that they could relate to K-12 schools. Now, a lot of members could find state guidelines, but they were looking for some national guidelines. And actually, we had those. We had the National Career Development Guidelines already on our website, but they were presented as a PDF document that was not interactive at the time. So as this discussion was going on with K-12 members, board members were also discussing in their meetings the need for more resources for K-12 people in the K-12 constituency. So the combination of these two factors led to this decision to focus on a redesign of the National Career Development Guidelines, to take the guidelines from that document and to actually create an interactive website to house those documents, or to house the guidelines that could be a living resource, as you can see on this page, so that the document could actually be a place for K-12 constituency members to interact with one another, to add activities and resources into the framework. So it's actually a growing entity, or a growing place for people to interact. So that is where we are at this point. The board approved for Melanie from NCDA to work with Carla and me to to have this process take place and to do a lot of this work to put the guidelines into an interactive website. So at this point, Melanie is going to talk to you about that process and what the website now looks like.
Thank you, Celeste. I'm going to go ahead and show you the NCDA website and what we have created. Now, users can then go ahead and visit the NCDA website at www.ncda.org and click on standards, and then click on the National Career Development Guidelines. In the past, when you did that, you got a PDF. That was just it. You just got a piece of paper, so to speak. Now you have this new interactive website that we've created for you. And you'll notice right away that we have a brand new logo here on the left. It is supposed to look sort of like a school building or an institution's a structure, but it has 3 sections in it. And that's because there are 3 domains in the guideline. And we'll get to more of that in a minute. And then it's supposed to show, if you look closely, you can see that upward arrow. So that represents the upward mobility of this framework. So we also chose the big bright colors because we believe that that's important in your field. And then you'll see all these images scrolling here on what we call our slideshow. And you can see again those same bright colors. And here we have the definition of what this framework is. A framework of career development competencies and indicators of mastery, including a recommended strategy for implementing career development programs for youth or adults. And then on the next slide, you see we have the listing of the 3 domains: the social emotional learning, the academic and lifelong learning, and the career development domain. And then we have the definitions of each individual domain. The social emotional learning definition is the process of acquiring and applying knowledge, skills, and attitudes to learn, grow, and thrive in life. And the academic and lifelong learning domain is defined as integrating foundational and ongoing learning methods and experiences in the pursuit of one's goals and to function in a diverse, dynamic work world. And then, of course, the career development domain, meeting career goals through information management and decision-making while mastering employability skills and integrating world conditions. And all of these slides, as you see scroll by, again, we're trying to represent the concepts of growth and stability and professionalism, and of course, students and teamwork, positivity, and lifelong activity. All of those words should sound very familiar to you in the work that you do every day. We also have the image over here on the left that's going to become the home of this video that you are now watching. And then we encourage you to share that video with others. Your colleagues, those who are not actually watching the video now, could benefit, and you'll see how they can start to interact with this website by watching the video. Up here at the top, you see we have our navigation bar with the NCDG home, which will always take you to this page. And then I'm going to go across and show you what all the rest of these buttons relate to. So I'm going to click on the first one, the national and state standards. As Celeste mentioned, that most people do follow the state standards, but there's national standards do exist. So we wanted to talk to you a little bit about the purpose of the standards here on this page and provide a space to list a few of the state standards that we are familiar with. And again, we're going to invite you to contribute to this website by adding state standards in your state. And you can do that by reaching out to me at webeditor@ncda.org. And then you can see the next link here on the navigation bar is called the framework. The framework may seem complex, but if you read this description, you'll get a better understanding of not only what the 3 domains are, and note that there were name changes in those domains. Career development used to be called career management. Academic and lifelong learning used to be called educational achievement and lifelong learning. And social emotional learning used to be called personal social development. And then we talk a little bit here about what Bloom's taxonomy is, which I'm sure you all are familiar with. the KAR, the knowledge acquisition, the application, and reflection. And then you put that together and you come up with a code for each of the indicators of mastery. Now, you don't have to know all the codes, but this is a good way to learn what they mean. And if you're still liking that PDF, we kept the link right here for you. So you can click on that green button there, NCDG 2024 framework, where you can download the PDF. But don't forget to keep reading, because we talk about how to use this framework, depending on who you are and how others might use it. And again, how you can make suggestions of how you're using it by submitting an email to webeditor@ncda.org. And I can add another bullet point to this page. And that history of the National Career Development Guidelines was just summarized by Celeste, but you can see a lot more of the history here. And the important thing that we want to point out is all the people that contributed to the development of these guidelines over the years. There's quite a few people on the team, a lot of the names that you'll probably recognize as being active in our field. And we don't want to miss their contribution to what you are now seeing. And that last button over there would take you to the homepage for NCDA, because you need to see that these guidelines are connected to NCDA. NCDA houses these guidelines, so you can get back to the NCDA website if you need to. If you're on one of these pages, you can always search the domains, the goals, and the indicators using this search box on the left. But I'm going to take you back to the NCDG homepage. And I'm going to scroll down just a little bit, because I want to show you the main search box right here in the middle of the page, which will search anywhere on this section, the NCDG section. And of course, we just welcome you to this section, describe what it is, and invite you to contribute. But let's get to the really important parts. And these are the domains: the career development domain, the academic and lifelong learning domain, and the social emotional learning domain. And as you notice, you just click on the tabs to get to the different domains. What I have here is a listing of all the indicators, the goals and the indicators for this particular domain, and then for each of those domains. What we have at the top, though, listed in green here, are those indicators that we have provided examples, indicators of mastery. And Carla is going to actually explain how you can contribute. But just note that the goals and indicators that are in black don't have anything linked yet, because you haven't contributed anything yet. But if they're in green, you click on the green code and you see it opens up another page where it repeats what the goal is, what the indicator of mastery is, and then you see the description of the example that has been contributed, in this case by Celeste. And if you scroll on down, you'll see a way to leave a comment. And if you would like to leave a comment, perhaps you just want to thank Celeste for contributing this example. Perhaps you want to ask her a question, or perhaps you want to just tweak it a little bit and say, well, I do this, but I do this to it. So you just put in your name, your email address. You can be notified when others add comments, or you can allow others to reply directly to you. But you always have to check this box here that I have read and agreed to abide by the terms of use. You probably have posted comments on other parts of our website, so you're probably familiar with that. So there's a lot here, a lot of indicators. I think it's around 200, something like that. So there's a lot of information that you could contribute to on this page. I'm sure you have some reactions and some questions, and we're going to tell you at the end of this presentation how to reach us with your reactions and your questions. But right now, I'm going to turn it over to Carla as she explains why you want to click on these green codes, because green means go.
Hello again, everyone. So, as Melanie laid out everything in this wonderful new space that we have, I'm so excited about it. I want to tell you how you can contribute. This is so important because this is a working area. And we want our constituents to really feel at home in this space. And so, as Melanie mentioned, right now you see two spaces that have green on them. One is completed, which is not the first one because the first one was mine. But one thing about it is talking about when you're contributing to this space, there is a permission slip that you must complete in order to do this. And I did not do that yet. And so that's part of the, I think it's good for you to know that. And so right now, Melanie has clicked on a CD1.K2. And again, this was submitted by Celeste Hall. And one thing about this is that's also important is knowing sometimes you have to get permission for different documents, and it gets tricky. And as we are entering this world where we are exchanging ideas and documents a lot more now, sometimes it's hard to know where things originated. But it is important for us because we will have a team, and you also, I'll talk about that in a minute because we will need people for the team who will be looking at the information that will be submitted, including permission slips for this. So, for instance, right now we have this wonderful example from Celeste. Now, she also put on here two plans. They're very detailed. One is the career plan, the TCC, and the other is the career plan TNCC. Now, right now, we're not going to open the document because we want to make sure that permission has been granted to use this information. And you'll run into some things like with creating common license, and it's a lot of different things. So please reach out to us if you have questions about this, but we will have a team that will be looking at the documents that you have submitted. And if there is an issue, we will definitely contact you. But there are ways to contribute. We've talked more about the career domain, but there are 3 domains. So it's the career, the academic, and the socio-emotional, and they're intertwined, right? We've talked about, Melanie highlighted all 3 domains, and we will want people to contribute to all 3. But right now, we are really trying to get the career development domain off the ground, and we will be reaching out. We will have a section at the conference in person to talk to people as well. Plus, at the meetings for the SCCS, the School Career Counselors and Specialists, because we will be looking at people who will be contributing to this website, and also those who will be reviewing the information as well. And so this is where we will begin. So we have a lot of information. Melanie is showing you now. This is the how you actually sign up to share your documents. And your documents can be in a paper form, or what I was doing was a website. So a link to a website, which is sometimes easier when you are dealing with trying to get permission. And so this is where you will go, and you'll see the NCDG code that will be needed. Also, just a description of your example. For example, Celeste has the career plan that she listed. And so she provided an example. She provided an example which describes what the document is. So you'll have an idea. Like Melanie mentioned, you can provide a comment once you see someone else's, or once you see someone else's form. But right now, when you're submitting, I'm sorry, right, you can provide a comment there, as she had mentioned before, once you see someone else's, because it may elicit like, oh, I have that too, or I didn't know this is what other people were using, or know what? I've seen that document a long time ago. I didn't know where it came from. And so this is a great place to have conversations because, again, this is for all of us. And we want it to be a community. And this is how we kind of build that when we're talking to each other and sharing information. There's such a wealth of information out there from all of you. Um, and sometimes you think that no, other people aren't using it, or there's been times where I found something that I had been looking for years and like, oh, that's where that came from. And so now we have one place because we really do, as NCDA, we really are, should be at the forefront when we're looking at career development, especially for our constituents. And so this,
That's a good point, Carla. And I actually forgot to mention that when you are submitting some information, you can also add the relevant NCDA resource so that your example may relate to such as an NCDA podcast or an NCDA webinar or a career convergence article. So if what you're providing here relates to something at NCDA, feel free to add that in. If you don't know it, that's completely fine. Don't worry, you can leave that part blank. But if you do know the connection, that showcases all the resources that are relevant to this particular goal and indicator of mastery.
And Melanie, it's interesting that you mentioned that because I just recently searched through the career convergence area of the NCDA website because I was looking for articles and information on a specific topic that I was researching. So I could go to the career convergence area and then put in some search parameters and find a lot of articles that related to the topic.
yes, and I have also done that. And so, again, using this as part of our community and a one-stop shop, so to speak, and so this is where we are. Hopefully you will find this helpful and please be patient with us. This is definitely a work in progress, but it is so necessary. So be patient with us and we'll be patient with you and we'll all be patient together.
And I just want to say, to Melanie, she has done so much work with the website developers that support NCDA. And I think it just looks beautiful. And I'm so excited about seeing all the work that's been done here.
And I'm so glad Celeste mentioned that because, yes, I came in, the latter part of all of this. This has been amazing. But Celeste also, she had an idea and a necessary idea that I know others helped with it, but this was an idea that she had. And Melanie was able to see someone to be able to help you visualize and put it out there and really have it as a working area is amazing. And so
I think when I had that idea, I didn't realize how much work it was going to take to bring it to fruition. So I really appreciate all of the time and energy.
Yes,
I'm happy to provide this resource for all those who do use the guidelines. And I do hope that more and more people find this and use this. So I think that's one of our biggest messages to anyone watching this video is please share it. Share the video, share the message, share the link, go to ncda.org, click on standards, click on the guidelines, and then contribute. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing so that we can get back to the PowerPoint and actually show you the last two little things that are on our PowerPoint and let Carla finish up here.
Oh, so really, if you have any questions, we will have the next slide will show our contact information. Please feel free to reach out. And not only questions, I know I said questions, but if you have ideas, concerns, hopefully no concerns this early, but if you have concerns, please reach out to one of us and we'll respond back to you.
Yes, thank you all for being here today. As I mentioned, my email as on the bottom of every web page is webeditor@ncda.org. The same way to reach me is mreinersman@ncda.org. So I am happy to help. And Celeste, even though she is no longer on the NCDA board, she's still doing so much work. In fact, maybe more work than ever.
Yes.
And we're hoping that she continues. And we're also, as Carla said, hoping that you all join in and assist Carla as we move forward. Just like that arrow in the logo, we're moving on and up on this project. So thank you all.
Mm.